highways, we understand designing bridges. What we don't understand as well is what is particular to your area, what are the concerns, what are the things that we need to stay away from. And that's exactly the most important thing we can do. So the two maps that I show, this is a street map, and it's hard to see at that scale, but you'll be able to see the huge rollouts at the table. And the other is on an aerial photography. So you'll be able to find a creek, a river, a store, a neighborhood, or whatever very clearly marked. And as you can see on here, what we have done is we've tried to narrow this study area to 2 miles wide, and at the south and north end, they fan out just a little bit because we needed some flexibility on where is the best and safest place to tie it into the two interstates on either end. So this is kind of where we're at right now, and I know Secretary Ridley touched on the difficulties as far as snaking it through. The types of things we need to look at, first and foremost, our engineers make sure this is the safest facility possible. The interstate type facilities are the safest type of highways in the United States. Those types of facilities, you are the safest driving on those, and our charge is to make this new facility safe as well. The other things concerning on that is we want to make sure that we have the least amount of impact to existing developments. We want to make sure we have the least amount of impacts. And that's going to be a difficult task. We also have things to look at that go along with the environment and the natural environment. We need to be careful when we're going across river crossings. Are there endangered species? What are the issues associated with crossing a river? We have a large river and a few streams that are going to have to be crossed. We also have to be very careful of cemeteries. We have such things as leaking underground storage tanks associated with old gas stations. There's a lot of things that we need to be very careful of. And when Secretary Ridley talked about the flights that were done to get the information, while all that's going on, our team is also trying to gather all of the data that we can so we can make that best decision. And there's nothing that can help us more. The most foolish thing we can do as a group of engineers is lay an alignment through there and we didn't know we hit something. We were unaware of it. We ask your help to help us make that best decision. Don't let us make a foolish decision because we didn't know about something. There are databases, there's maps, there's all kinds of records, but oftentimes when someone has lived in a location for 10 or 20 or more years, they have way more knowledge than we do. And that is a huge help to us. And I think if there's anything to come from that's kind of the process we're working through to get there. And I think the information that we gather is going to be very, very, very helpful. Hopefully you do appreciate that it is a difficult task to put a highway through and have minimal impacts, because if you look at that, there are a lot of things that we have to go through. Over on the east side of this, you even have a large power plant in this large corridor. There are very large transmission lines. There are just a lot of things. There is a lot of infrastructure in place already, whether it's utilities and streets. One of the other things that we want to make sure you're aware of, and I know has come up as a concern, is we're going to do everything we can to keep all of those section lines road open. I know one of the concerns we heard is, hey, you build this highway and you're going to cut off all of those east-west streets that Secretary Ridley talked about how good the flow of traffic is from east to west. We don't want to cut those off. We want to make sure you have full access across on those. And whether that's through an interchange or whether that's through a bridge over or under, we need to make sure that that access takes place and people don't get dead-ended the way that they're used to traveling. And I think on behalf of our engineering team, I just wanted to say we are trying to design the best possible facility and pick that best location. And I'm excited to see this many people here because it tells me there are a lot of folks that live here, and you guys have a heck of a lot of information that we would love for you to share with us. And with this, I think we're ready to try some question and answers. Gary?
We want to hear from you. There's going to be some folks around with microphones, and please raise your hand, and let's go ahead and get started. We have, I think, 3 microphones, 2 of them here in this room, and then 1 in the room out back. So pick somebody.
Let's start right here.
Yeah, start right here. Yeah.
My name is Joe Crakey. I live in Hera. I live off Northeast 23rd Street. My land may or may not be directly affected. I feel like you guys are you're noticing how many people have showed up. And I see what you guys are saying, but I don't feel like you guys are hearing what we're saying. I don't think these people want the turnpike out here, and it's not. It's not that we don't want to lose our land, but we don't want to lose our way of life. Now, something you guys say you're noticing these things, and here's my main question to you guys is, citizens showed up and overflowed the Harris City Council meeting. I go to all these Harris City Council meetings. They were standing outside. We showed up on a Tuesday morning at your OTA meeting. People standing outside. I was front row there again. How many people have to show up to give us a goal to prove to you guys what the citizens of Eastern Oakland County want?
We need your input. We know this is a concern for you, but if you don't mind, let the process work a little bit. We got started off on the first quarter was terrible, but hopefully the second half will be better. But what we need to do is to let us go through the process first. We're saying we don't want something that we really don't know what it is that we are proposing or where we can propose it. Let us do that first. Give us that opportunity. That's what I'm asking you to do, is to let us do that.
Now, if we give you that opportunity, you can say no.
You can always say no. You can always
Are
say
you
no.
going to railroad?
I make it a habit not to do that. I work for the citizens of Oklahoma. There is, and I understand that.
We may or may not be directly affected. We live at, our 20 acres is on Luther, which runs north and south, and Peebly is the next crossroad. One of the concerns I have, and I want to ask about, is all the faults that run through our area. There's the Wilzetta fault, which runs from Jones to Crescent, and under I-35 there's the Namaha fault. My question is, are you trying to build the road as close to possible to faults? We have had lots of earthquakes at our house. We even have an earthquake seismometer or whatever it is, which we can't get OU to hook up. We have a stone house. We're getting small cracks in it every time there's an earthquake. And if you go on Memorial Road, it's tarred all over the place. It's almost distracting because there's so many cracks in the road, which I assume come from earthquakes. The follow-up question is, when you build all this stuff structurally, are you going to build in a California style where it won't be destroyed by earthquakes?
It's a good question. Certainly we've had a lot of seismic activity in the state, especially in the north-central part of the state and in part here. I know I certainly have felt the earthquakes in Yukon that we've had up at Alva and the one over in Lincoln County back in, 2011, I think. Anything that we build, we will design it such that it will withstand seismic activity. We have to do that. We've historically done that. I can tell you that our bridge engineers in the past were part of the team after the major earthquakes in California to come up with design for bridges that will ensure that they will withstand a fairly significant seismic activity. So the answer is yes, so that all is taken into consideration by our engineers on how we design anything.
C.W. McBride, I'm all for it. And the reason why I'm all for it is because I can travel up to Tulsa back and forth every month. You don't only go on Chandler or at Stroud. You know what? I let y'all talk. Let me. All I want is fair market value for the house. My sister's losing her house. She's at 15th and Luther. All she wants is fair market property and fair market value for the house, and know how long she's got to let the house tear down. So the questions are two: you're going to alert all the citizens to know what corridor y'all pitched, right, and how long they've got before they have to move. Fair market value, and number two, we want Choctaw to develop. Most of these people I hear tonight say, my neighbor may not be in the area, but I want the cities to grow. I don't want to be where we're at, dead in 20 years like you did.
Let me answer the question, and the congressman brought it up about using public funds for private property. That's been discussed in the presidential debate. I want to tell you this: I'm pretty much a believer in the Constitution, and I'm really a believer. I think that anybody that believes that we have in the past or ever will in the future use eminent domain in order to acquire property for private development. That's just not how we do business in Oklahoma. We've never have, and I can't assume that we would ever in the future. So the idea of economic development on the corridor is really not our concern. Our focus is to improve the safety that we talked about and the congestion that I know is here and the congestion that's coming. As far as where the route is, we can't tell you where that route is. And maybe I should have been a little clearer on what the process will be. After we get out of here, we're going to ask you to go to the tables and talk to the engineers and talk to us and tell us where you don't want this thing. Some of you may want to put a big X on there. So, but what we need to know is where the problem areas are. After we have that done, we will come back here with lines on a map of the corridor that we think will work. And then we're going to hear from you again. And you're going to tell us, hey, you can't work here, you got to move it there, you got to slide it over here, this isn't going to work. We're going to hear from you again. And I don't know how many times we will have to do that until we can come up with a solution. But I'm telling you that I can in good conscience allow the accidents to continue to occur on I-40. Allow the accidents to continue to occur on I-35. Allow the accidents to occur up north-south. And know full well that the congestion in this metropolitan area over the next 20, 25 years is going to increase by 40%. You can't just ignore that. So we have to come up with some solutions. We're in the problem-solving business, and that's what we're going to try and do. Another question.
I got a question concerning your map. Okay, I noticed the Kilpatrick Turnpike has absolutely no traffic values on it as far as the count. How many cars are on the turnpike? It doesn't say. And also, why is the area in question completely omitted from your map? If this is such a problem, show us some numbers.
First off, on the Kilpatrick, they should be listed on. I don't know why the heck they're not. But the volume on the Kilpatrick, I can tell you, is about 70,000 vehicles a day in Pennsylvania. I know that. That's the reason we added the additional lane up there, because of the use on it.
Where's the numbers?
Well, they should be on there.
County, where's our numbers?
Jack, will you read this email?
Okay.
You sent to the city of Choctaw. I'll do it later outside. This is an email from Jack. I'd like him to read it in his own voice.
Okay. How many of you were outside?
From Jack Darrell, from Roger Nelson. Don't know where you are, Roger. Sorry for throwing you under the The OTA is currently working with Poe and Associates, a name you need to know, to survey land in eastern Oklahoma County. We don't expect to have a route for several months, possibly into late spring or early summer. City and state leaders have been saying for a long time now that eastern Oklahoma County, that's you guys, has lagged behind in economic development because of the lack of a true north-south highway in that area. The OTA, along with the city and state leaders, believe that this new roadway will bring tremendous economic development to the area. Before any route is determined, there are 5 criteria we look at. How can the roadway optimize traffic for revenue? That's 3 times in a row. Revenue. Let me finish. So Jack's topography of the land is also considered, anticipated right-of-way acquisition, connectivity to existing systems, and last but most important, minimizing the impact to the public and environment. The OTA is not keeping information from the public, but at this time, we are only conducting surveys in numerous areas. Please let me know if you have further questions. Jack, I have a question. You forgot to say traffic alleviation and safety. Economic impact study.
All I'm telling you is, we'd be a fool to say that economic development does not follow highways. Hey, look at the Kilpatrick. But it's not the reason. I can assure, and I know you can't believe me. So, but all I'm telling you is that is not the reason why.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. It's not the reason why we propose to do this thing. I'm just saying that's not the reason.
You couldn't have said anything.
We have some more questions?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I can't hear you.
My name is Gail. My husband and I own property that goes you're going to go directly over our home. And I don't understand all your talk of engineers. Are they the same engineers that took the I-35 north and south and turned it into that one lane that crosses by and turned it into a mess there on I-40 and I-35 interchange? That's just what those engineers building another turnpike. And the other question is, you say in this thing that if you move this to an already or 102, that it doesn't suit the goal. If the goal is to divert traffic north and south, then why don't you use an existing corridor that doesn't have all the homes on it?
And that's a good point. Why don't we go down 177?
You already have.
If you will notice, any turnpike that we built, any interstate that we built, we never built it on an existing public highway simply because we would cut off access to the people on either side. Simply because that is all. I-35, I-40 were built on a half-mile line.
66.
Yeah, Route 66, you're absolutely right. I-44 that goes from Tulsa to Oklahoma City did not affect Highway 66. You can still drive on it. We didn't stay on that corridor, we moved away from it. But that's the reason. You stay away from the public, because what you're doing is you're providing a limited access highway or a fully controlled access highway, and you cut off the access to people. Our plan, hopefully, would be that we could provide access, not cut off access. Yes. No.
Hi, my name is Jennifer, and I live on South.
Where are they at? Yeah.
I don't need a microphone.
Wait a minute. When we get to you, there's some people outside that we're trying to hear. Go ahead, outside.
Okay. Jennifer Monroe, and I live on Southeast 74th and XXX Road, a half-mile north of I-40. Inevitably, I'm sure I'm affected, whether it be noise pollution, traffic, congestion, smog. All of those things affect where I want to know, how was this 2-mile wide swath decided? Why couldn't it have been moved 3, 4, 5 miles away to the east, where there's fewer homes, fewer properties with newer homes, it's less densely populated there. So why was this 2-mile swath chosen?
It's a good question. Why do we select this area of the county to look at? And that's what we're doing, is looking at it, so we know that we haven't decided on a corridor. The reason why we looked, if we could pull that up, the reason why we looked at it is if you go farther east, then it really doesn't satisfy the problem of trying to put in a reliever route. If you go far enough, if you go, I'm just telling you that's true. If you go west, you get into more heavily populated areas. So you're trying to come up with an area that we can try and snake something through that will work. And all I ask you is to let us do our work and come back to you. Let us come back to you. And let us come back to you in 4 or 5 weeks and say, this is an alignment, that we listen to what you had to say, that hopefully you will do outside here, that we'll listen to what you have to say, and then we can determine then whether this is something that we can build or not build. Yeah. Another question.
Mr. Secretary, over here, to your left.
Yes, sir. My name's Don Crossan. I live on Southeast 10th between Luther and Dobbs. The question has not been addressed, I think, so far, sir, is the entrances and the exits and the access roads. You know, you addressed 300 feet wide, and the city of Harris calling for as many exits and entrances as they can get. And how much property is going to be eaten up with those?
Good point. Where the entrances and exits to the facility will be. Again, we need to hear from you to tell us that. You know you're going to have an entrance and exit on I-40. You know you're going to have one up at 42. And one would imagine you would probably have something here on 62. But where else do you need entrances and exits? And do you need frontage roads, and do you want frontage roads? That will be you to decide. That's not our decision. That'll be you to decide. And when you go out there and talk with the people with the map, please tell them what you think. Tell them where you think the interchanges should be, and let us mark it down.
Over here. Right here in the middle.
My name is John Hopkins. I live just south of Northeast 23rd off Luther Road. You were saying a while ago the reason you won't use the roads that already exist. I need to see if I have some false information. If you use roads that already exist, you can't make them toll roads.
Yeah,
is that true?
Yeah, we cannot. We couldn't in good conscience anyhow.
Is this the reason that you won't use the exist roads because you want more toll roads in Oklahoma?
We couldn't take again, we would not want to take a public road that was paid for by public funds and make it a toll facility. We would not do that.
We'll vote on it.
Over
If
here.
we come to some agreement, it's needed. I'm telling you, the need's there, folks. It really is.
Over here. Okay, according to your own map here, which does not include us, you show the numbers coming in and out, and you're saying that we really do need this north-south corridor across here, but even your own numbers don't reflect that. And I drive it every day, and if you would pay any attention to people exiting at Peebly Road, exiting Harrow Road, there's never a traffic jam. But yet you want to build a north-south corridor to flow more traffic into a already congested area with the accidents, but yet you're saying you're trying to eliminate accidents, but you're going to put more vehicles in there that presently are not going that way, who are taking 29th Street, 15th Street, Reno, to go to Midwest City. You want to try and make it more congested? And that's with your own map and your own numbers here, sir. Can you not see that? We're not stupid.
When this is over, if you please hunt me up and show me what you're talking about, because I can't see what you're looking at. But I can tell you this, I've been in the business a long time, and I'm telling you, the numbers that we're seeing and the growth that we're seeing, it is imperative that we have some type of reliever route and main corridor in the eastern part of the county.
Over here,
we have another question.
I don't know that I can do anything about that.
Mr. Secretary, we have another question over here.
Mr. Secretary, my question is, first of all, I'm Leslie Lambert, and I'm a resident here in Choctaw. I'm a representative of the county. I'm on, executive board of the city council. My question is to you, has the county voted on this yet? If the county, as a people, have not voted on this, I urge you to get with our representatives, put it on in election time, and let's vote for this.
We need to make sure that we know what we're for and what we're against. And right now, there is no line on a map to show you what you could be for or what you're against. Let you go out and talk with the people outside here. Let us have the opportunity to talk with the people outside, the engineers outside, show them your concerns on the map, and then let us come back here in 4 or 5 weeks and show you what we come up with, and judge us on that. And then judge us on that.
We have a question out.
Yes, sir. First off, thank you. My name is Ron. I live right there at 15th and Peoples, just an 1/8 of a mile west, which I am affected. 2 questions. One, you said earlier, you will not put a turnpike on the existing road, which would be 177. If you've already put 144, which is next to 66, why not put it next to 177? Second, you're talking about decreasing any kind of traffic congestions and accidents right there at 40. Well, I'm here to tell you, Peebly at 40 and Choctaw 40 are horrendous. And all you're going to do is compound to the problem.
Hey, you have no other route around it. Bring it more to it.
The question was why we didn't put it close to 177. And I'll go back to what I said earlier. The farther east you go, the less effective that this corridor will be. That's the first thing. I know you don't agree with me. That's what I believe. So the second thing is that you have all the congestion that you have at the interchanges now, and I think we tried to address that. The ODOT, working with the Turnpike Authority, will make major improvements to I-40 in the interchanges at Peebly Road and at the other interchanges on I-40 that will tie to the new interchange.
Mr. Secretary, the representative would like to talk.
Sure.
Thank y'all very much again. This is wonderful that you're here. Again, several of you contacted my office, and of course the reason why I did not directly respond to you is because I didn't know. All of this, of course, is an information. That's what we're here for tonight. I understand many of your concerns because the fact as you can tell, I'm an old Choctaw Indian. When I was in my family back in the 1830s, was in Mississippi. We were taken off of our land, brought here to Oklahoma. I'll be dadgum, the Dawes Act moved us off of the land here in Oklahoma, and of course gave us an acreage. And then, back in the 1930s, my grandfather's land was taken away by the Army Corps of Engineers and for Lake Texoma. So I understand your concerns. I mean, because this is something that this is your life. And this is where you have rested yourselves to which to be. Let me just tell you a few things here. Thank God in heaven that Boeing is coming in here. We did not know. Just a second. Let me explain to you guys. If you'll listen to me just a minute and then you can respond. But no, they've not pulled out. No, they put out a couple of projects. They are coming here. They are still looking for 600 to 900 jobs. Yes, they are. It was just a couple of projects of which they were going to include above that. They are, it is to my understanding, they are still hiring. We still have General Electric. But let me explain some things from just my perspective. I was approached on this about the safety issues. Again, when I come up on I-40 getting on to Choctaw Road, it is a major safety image here. But let's look at the situation right now, ladies and gentlemen. The state of Oklahoma the oil and gas business has lost 74% of their value. We are now $1.5 billion in the hole. I am scared to death. I hear this again. We need all the help that we can get here to save jobs here in the state of Oklahoma. I know, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what's going to happen here. I don't know. I know this is emotional. I am very frightened for our state because we've got to keep our schools open. We have to keep our cities operating. So I'm doing what I can. I am here for you. And we will do all we can of which to help you in this process. I will look at it later, but again, I don't know. Again, I will do all I can as your senator to help you and contact me at your convenience. Thank you.
All right, we have another question.
Thank you very much, Secretary, and also Senator Sharp. It was disappointing